Pause YouTube, 6-Bit Hacks here. Have for you guys today the draft analysis video of the Durham Druddigons in Pokemon 4 Glory Season 2, aka P4G S2. Season 2. You get what I'm saying? So, of course, if you guys are excited for the Durham Druddigons to be in the second official season of Pokemon 4 Glory, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below and let me know what you guys think about our chances in this league and our draft in general. I'm really excited, man. Have some awesome GFX that were made by Bill Nyish, I think is his name. His channel link is going to be down below, and if I remember, I'll put everybody else's channel links and stuff too that are in this league. So yeah, basically the way the order went was I was number 13, of course, and it was a tier-based draft. So the main Pokemon I wanted literally got picked right before I made my pick, and funny enough, it was made by the dude who made the GFX over there, Bill Nyish. Again, link down below with everybody else, so go check them out, of course. And it's a Pokemon that I'm very, very excited to have once more in my possession, and if you guys remember, last year led me to my first championship win, and that is the powerful little fire psychic type himself, Victini, aka Vicente. And man, I'm actually really excited. Actually, I'll be naming off my Z move users as like I go by the Pokemon, and I guess actually no, I think I know how I'll reveal them. I'll put it at the end of the video with everything else, like all the Pokemon. But Victini, just spoilers right now, isn't one of my Z Crystal Mons, but if it was, it'd be an absolute monster. Either way, Victini has a great special move pool, a great physical move pool, great stats, 100 across the board. It was a tier 1 pick, and I'm really happy to have at least got it at number 13. But the original Pokemon I wanted was Kieran Black, which of course, like I said, was picked literally right before me. But Victini is it's better than a second place pick. Like, arguably Victini may be a little better than Kieran Black, but I guess it depends who you talk to. But either way, Victini, very awesome, very excited to have it on the team. Powerful V-Crate, Blue Flares, Psychics, Energy Ball, Glaciate, Thunder, a great ability in Victory Star, I think it's its name, if I remember correctly, where it boosts the accuracy of my lower accuracy move. So I think Thunder has like a 77% accuracy or a little bit more like that, but it's really good to hit those very hard-hitting, low accuracy moves. So I'm really happy to have Victini. Not to mention that it has U-turn, so that's really awesome. And this thing is just an all-around powerhouse. Moving on to pick number 2 is a Pokemon that I have yet to use in Draft League, and a Pokemon that I'm actually really happy to have got, and that is Guillermo the Garchomp. Now, it was actually kind of a toss-up between Garchomp or Zygarde 50%, but I figured that I have plenty of chances to use the Zygarde 50% because it may not be as valuable to others as Garchomp is. So I decided to go with Garchomp, not to mention that it has a great base speed and 102, being able to just speed creep those very common base 100 Pokemon like Jirachi, Manaphy, and Shaman, and even Victini, although we have Victini, but you get what I'm saying. So that's really good to have that extra little bit of speed. It also gives me a Dragon type and a very well needed Ground type for those pesky electric types. Also a very great Stealth Rocker, and I can punish U-turn users and physical attackers in general with Rough Skin and Rocky Helmet. So that's a huge plus, and if this does turn out to be one of my Z-move mons, then it's definitely going to be amazing. Pick number 3 is going to be Tangrowth, aka Tomas. I really felt that Tangrowth was a solid round 3 pick because, in my opinion, this is easily like top 5, top 3 best grass types in Draft League format. Not to mention, it's very bulky, has access to Regenerator. Yeah, its speed and Spadef is only base 50, but arguably Tangrowth is one of the best Assault Vest Pokemon currently in OU, so that should tell you a lot about it in itself. It has access to Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, Leech Seed. It has a phenomenal special attack stat in base 110, solid physical attack with access to Swords Dance as a Z-move mon. This thing could definitely be pretty interesting, so I don't know, maybe, we'll see. And a solid base special, not base special, but a base HP of 100 as well. But just the fact that this thing has access to Regenerator makes it so good. It doesn't even need to run Assault Vest to put in work. Like I said, it gets access to Leech Seed. Pair that up with like Toxic or like Stun Spore. This thing can just turn into a giant nuisance to so many teams. And a little thing about this draft, I decided to go a different route with this draft. I decided to focus a little bit more like on my cores, which I've noticed in previous drafts it's not something I ever really did. So that's what I kind of tried to prioritize in this draft, as opposed to like prioritizing different things, because I guess it's kind of like, I wouldn't say going back to my roots, but going back to basics. So cores are going to be very, very handy, and hopefully I can make them work a lot better than I would be able to if I didn't have maybe one or two missing puzzles. But yeah, moving on to pick number 4, we have an amazing doggo, in my opinion, nicknamed after my childhood dog before I moved out. Oh man, I miss you. Oh. But we have OG the Suicune. Not gonna lie, I really wanted my Milotic, but I think my Milotic got picked in the same round that I picked Tangrowth, and I was like, the people after me aren't gonna pick a water type, so I'll wait. So came back around and I got Suicune, and I'm more than happy with Suicune just because, as you can see, base 100 HP, base 115 defense and special defense, a solid speed and base 85, and a really solid special attack stat with base 90. We all know what terrifying things Suicune can do. Vinkune has been running rampant in OU battles from what I've seen, and in league play, not league play, but in premier play with Smogon, like tournaments and stuff. And Crocune in a try to still an amazing set. It can run especially offensive sets as well. You don't even need to run this thing defensively all the time because it's already so bulky. It also gets access to Tailwind, which is pretty awesome, and it gets, I think it gets extreme speed as well. But I don't know, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll bring extreme speed one time. Who knows? Who knows? But Tailwind is pretty awesome. I'm really happy to have Suicune. I definitely think this thing is going to put in a lot of work. This rounds off one of my cores with fire, water, grass being gone at this point. So yeah, I really like Suicune as a 4th round pick. I definitely think it's going to put in a lot of work, and I really hope I can use it properly. So moving on to pick number 5. This was the round I decided to pick up my Mega, because at this point I had realized, or I had come to the decision, that I'm either going to choose this Mega or another Mega, and the other Mega I wanted got picked because it got picked by John, aka PokeMEN. So once it got to me, I was really happy that it was still around, and I decided to pick up Mega Aerodactyl, aka Cesaro, because Mega Aerodactyl really reminds me of Cesaro, because Aerodactyl, while it's very fast, it's very hard, it's missing something. Like, its best stab move is Stone Edge, which isn't even boosted by its ability. Yeah, it gets Aerial Ace, but Aerial Ace is still kind of weak even after Tough Claws, and that's why it kind of reminds me of Cesaro. Cesaro can be an easy main eventer, but obviously he's missing something, and that's why I feel Mega Aerodactyl can really relate to Cesaro. In general, I'm really happy to have Mega Aerodactyl because it also gives me, like I said, another really fast Pokemon, gives me another great Stealth Rocker, also gives me Hazard Control, which is really nice, and not to mention it has pretty decent bulk. Like, I remember using regular bulky Aerodactyl back in like Black and White 2, then I tried out a bulky Mega Aerodactyl in 6th gen for a bit in UU, and it can definitely tank some hits. Not to mention that with its amazing speed, it outspeeds, I think, like base 85 plus speed nature Scarfers and below, which is a whole lot of Pokemon. So it's really good. This thing can easily force my opponents to run more speed than they may need to, and it can easily force them to not even run a potential common Scarfer they would otherwise run if I didn't have this Pokemon. So I'm really excited to have Mega Aerodactyl on the Durham Druddigons, and it's definitely one of like the 3 Pokemon I want to put in a lot of work. So moving on to pick number 6, if I am correct, we have a second water type, which I know is a little bit weird to pair up with Suicune, but I really feel like Greninja is a solid pick as just an offensive mon in general, and a dark type. Dark types are absolutely necessary in draft league format. If you take one thing away from this video, the absolute #1 type of Pokemon that you always want to have is dark types. Psychic types can be absolutely terrifying to face, and if you don't have a dark type to stop them, or like pause them for a minute so you can work yourself around it to beat it, then you're gonna get run over by them. Watch my CCL D League matches and see how much work Reuniclus put in. because most of my opponents didn't have a good dark resist. And Greninja, I definitely think, can deal with a whole lot of psychic types in this tier. Not to mention that it gives me another very speedy mon based 122 speed and a very good stats in attack and special attack with 95 base attack and 103 special attack. Gets access to spikes and toxic spikes, which is awesome because I definitely love getting up my hazards, so that's going to be really cool. It also gets U-turn, and it also gets access to water shuriken, which is now special in 7th gen. Was it special last gen? I think it was physical last gen, but yeah, it's a very good special priority water stab move, which can hopefully come in handy. Also just gets access to so many good coverage moves now. Oh yeah, this is Torrent. It's not Protean and it's not Battle Bond. It's not anything stupid or busted like that. It's just regular Torrent with Greninja, but still, it gets Gunk Shot, it gets Extra Sensory, it can also get, I think it's Aerial Ace too, which is pretty awesome to like maybe smack around Buzzwore like a Heracross, and it's just a really, really good special attacker in general. Definitely underrated in my opinion. I want to put in a whole lot of work with this mon, so I'm really hoping Grenji can put the team on his back in a couple matches. So moving on to pick number 7. This pick was actually going to be my 3rd pick as a Steel type. And because, of course, Registeel got picked, and then frickin' Bronzong, man, I really, really wanted Bronzong, but I am more than happy to have got this alternate Steel type. The only downside to this Steel type, though, it's that it's a dual typing, and that is Corbin the Cobalion, the lone goat himself. Cobalion, in my opinion, has always been, like, top 5 most underrated Pokemon in Draft League because this thing can just do so much, and with access to C moves now, it can just manhandle through so many of its used to be counters. So just a little hint, hint, wink there, wink, wink there. This may be a Z move mon, but just trust me, man, Cobalion is an absolute beast. Another really great stealth rocker. Gets access to Volt Switch because that allows it to just pivot around. Makes an amazing Assault Vest Pokemon. Gets access to Swords Dance and Calm Mind to boost those okay 90 physical and special attacks to dangerous levels. It also gets access to Rock Polish. In UU, Dual Dance Cobalion is an absolute threat, man. Cobalion is great, base 108 speed, outspeeding so many Pokemon, and then having a pretty good base 129 defense stat. A great stab move in close combat, man. I could sit here for days and tell you guys how awesome Cobalion is and just how underrated it really is. So definitely expect this mon to put in a lot of work. So moving on to pick number 8. I really hope I'm not out of order with these numbers. We have a Pokemon that is on the same lines as Victini. She was part of my first ever official championship winning team, and that is going to be Scarlet the Skuntank. The main reason I wanted Skuntank is because it fit so many roles in just one pick. It's a poison type, it touches the ground as a poison type, gets access to Defog, is a really good dark type as well, being able to have access to Pursuit, and Sucker Punch plays so many mind games, has a great ability in Aftermath, some pretty good coverage with Fire Blast and Flamethrower, and just in general and all around really solid tier 4 pick and like late round pick in general. And the main thing is obviously having another form of hazard removal, because I didn't want my only hazard removing Pokemon to be Aerodactyl, so I decided to pick up another Defogger because at this point most Rapid Spinners were gone, and like I said, I have experience with Skuntank. I really like Skuntank, so I decided to draft it, and I really hope that Scarlet, like in UCL Season 2, will put in work in P4G Season 2. So moving on to pick number 9 is not a Pokemon I originally wanted. The only reason I even got this next pick was because it kind of got the original pick I wanted got sniped. So obviously I had to go with the backup, and I'm actually pretty excited to use this Pokemon because it's a Pokemon I've never ever used before, and I never really thought about using, but that's what is kind of exciting about it. It's just I don't know what this Pokemon could do, so I'm hoping that I can make it perform very well in this season, and that is going to be Frostlass, aka Elsa. And the cool thing about Frostlass is that it has pretty okay defenses, like 70 across the board is not the greatest. It's not the worst either. Its special attack and physical attack are the same, so it could kind of run like a mix. That it actually gets access to Ice Shard, which is pretty cool, because that means this could definitely check potential Dragon Dancers in the future, or pesky flying types. It has pretty good offensive type coverage if you really think about it, because Shadow Ball plus Ice Beam hits a lot in the tier. I think it also gets access to Thunderbolt, which is really cool. Taunt is awesome. Destiny Bond is also really great, and this generation it actually got access to Will-O-Wisp, giving it an even better status move pool. But the main thing about Froslass is that it gets access to Spikes, and Spikes plus Rocks means things are going to be very bad and very hard for my opponent when they need to prep. Now, yes, my hazard removal is Defog, but nobody ever said I have to bring Defog. I can easily force my opponents to bring Defog, and that just means I can run an extra coverage move, I can run a recovery move, or just something to catch something off guard. And that's what I really liked about Froslass, is that it had access to Spikes while also having a very good speed stat in 108 and pretty okay defenses. The original pick I wanted was Miss Magius. That was going to be one of my Z-move mons. Elsa is not one of my Z-move mons because I don't really see Z-move Froslass being all that good. But I am really happy to have it, so I definitely plan to put in a lot of work with this. And Spike stacks, people are gonna get Spike stacked this season, I'm telling you right now. So moving on to our next pick, we have another, okay, so I guess another little theme about this draft is I picked a lot of like underrated things and like things I don't really think people like think too much of, and this is definitely one of those Pokemon, because while we were drafting I never once saw this Pokemon be mentioned. The people I talked to never once mentioned this Pokemon either, and that is going to be the cute little cupcake herself, Sugar Puff, the Slurpuff. And the awesome thing about Slurpuff is not only is it a fairy type, which rounds out my Fairy Steel Dragon core, although I guess Corbin is a fighting type, but you guys get what I mean, that's my second core. Also, Corbin fills out my Psychic Fighting Dark core, which is pretty cool, so that's a third core right there. But Slurpuff gets access to Belly Drum, Calm Mind, and Cotton Guard. I have used Cotton Guard, Calm Mind, Slurpuff before in the past. It gets access to Surf and Fire Blast to try and manhandle those pesky steel types that otherwise would think they could wall Slurpuff. Yes, it gets access to Drain Punch that can easily be run along with the Belly Drum set, but that's the thing, like if my opponent prepares for Belly Drum Slurpuff and then I bring Cotton Guard, Calm Mind with like Fire Blast for his steel type, then I'm just gonna nuke it after +1 or +2 and then I just win. If they prepare for Calm Mind and then I bring Belly Drum, then it's just the same thing. Like, this thing can do so much more, and it's really a Pokemon I know people overlook, and it's something that I really think is underrated, that I really want to make shine. And it also gets, I didn't even know this, but it learns Wish. This thing has pretty good defenses in base 82 HP, 86 defense, and base 75 Spadef. So this could easily be run as a bulky fairy type to counter those pesky dragon types that I may otherwise have problems with, or those potential fighting types that could prove to be a problem to me. But it's really, really awesome that I got this pick. I expected this to not go, and I was really happy to have got it this late in the drafting, and I really, really think I'm gonna sweep 1 or 2 people with Slurpuff. So, moving on to the final pick of the Durham Druddigons in Pokemon 4 Glory Season 2 is a Pokemon that I used in a previous Wi-Fi league that I really fell in love with. Also, I recently played through Pokemon Fire Red, and I picked up this Pokemon again in the run-through that I did, and that was kind of a little plus as to why I wanted it, and that is going to be Rennie the Raichu. I am actually really, really excited to have Raichu. Not gonna lie, almost kind of wish that I had Zebstrika instead, but Zebstrika actually got picked before me. So it was a toss-up between Zebstrika and Raichu, and I was like, one of these two is gonna be mine, and I'm gonna pick one depending on whichever one's not picked. So it came down to Raichu, and I'm just really, really happy to have Raichu. I definitely think this little rodent can put in a lot of work. I decided to go this time around with not a like mid-pick-ish electric type. I decided to wait until like the last couple rounds for me to have gotten my electric type, because in tier 5 there really wasn't that many Pokemon that I liked. There was maybe like only a real handful, and I was like, Raichu I think is definitely something. Raichu and Substriker were 2 Pokemon I was like, I definitely think people are not going to pick this as their electric types, especially as the picks were being made. So I'm really happy to have got Raichu as a tier 5 pick. It also gets access to Nasty Plot and Encore, which is really awesome. It gets Surf, it gets Fake Out Extreme Speed, which could be pretty cool, like Adamant Raichu with Fake Out E-Speed and Life Orb. Ooh, that sounds exciting. Base 110 Speed, which is pretty solid. It also has some pretty good Spadef bulk, 60 base HP, 80 Spadef. Can be a pretty decent Assault Vest Pokemon. Gets a Lightning Rod, which helps me against those pesky electric types, because you always need to cover electric types, guys. You never want to pick a draft where your opponent can just Volt Switch 100% for free against you. So I'm really happy to have a secondary answer to those electric types, and just in general, really happy with Raichu. So yeah, guys, let's take a look at the final version of the draft. Here it is. As you can see, we have a pretty speedy draft, and that's actually kind of something I'm really happy about. I also like the fact that I focused more towards my cores and I was able to fill those out. Our hazard removal could be a little bit better, but we do have 2 really good hazard removals and 3 or 4, how many Stealth Rockers do we have? 3 really solid Stealth Rockers. As for my Z-Move Mons, we got access to 2 Z-Move Pokemon that could only use offensive Z-Moves, and then 1 Z-Move Mon could use any and every Z-Move except for stat boosting Z-Moves. So for our first Z-Move Mon, I'm going to go with Guillermo the Garchomp, because that just makes its Draco Meteors, its fire coverage, and its earth coverage so much better. Also could run Tectonic Rage, the Rockium Z-Move. I really think Garchomp is an amazing Z-Move Mon, because it can definitely catch things off guard, because you're not going to know if it's Outrage or if it's Draco Meteor if it knocks you out anyways. So that's really exciting. The next Z-Move Mon, what the hell did I just... The next Z-Move Mon is going to be, of course, the lone goat himself, Cobalion. Cobalion, easily top 10 Pokemon in this generation that got so much better because of Z-Moves. Like I said earlier, it just allows it to manhandle so many of its previous would-be counters, opening so many holes for you to just take advantage of. And then finally off, the third Z-Move Mon and our universal Z-Move Mon is going to be OG the Suicune. Why? Because with the universal Z-Move, I could easily run offensive Rain Dance Suicune, because Z Rain Dance gives you +1 in your speed. That's a Scarf Suicune with Stab, Rain Boosted Hydro Pumps, or Scald, and then from there I could run a Double Dance set with Calm Mind. Also Z Toxic could be pretty cool, that gives me a +1 in my defense. So there's definitely a lot of things that I think Universal Z-Move Suicune can definitely do that I want to try out. So yeah, guys, that is going to be the video. That is going to be our draft. Let me know what you guys think of the Durham Druddigons this season in the P4G. I saw some people during the live stream saying that this was easily the best team. You can quote me on that. You can go through the comments and you will see that's what people were saying. But yeah, either way, really excited for this draft. Definitely plan to bring another championship to the Durham Druddigons. We have a lot of tough competition this season, and just I'm so excited and ready for this, man. I hope you guys are as well. So with that being said, guys, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you all for watching.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears of hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.